Hello, everyone. Welcome to my English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Maria Sanchez, and today we have a very special guest from Japan. Please welcome Lee. Hi, Lee. How are you today?
Hi, Maria. I'm great, thank you. I'm so excited to be here and share my story with everyone.
We're thrilled to have you. Now, Lee, let's start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Sure. I'm Lee, and I'm from Tokyo, Japan. I've been learning English for a few years now, and it's been quite an adventure.
Oh, I can relate. My English learning journey was quite an adventure, too. I remember when I first decided to learn English. I was on a train from my hometown of Valencia to Madrid and met two lovely ladies from New York. Their English was so fluent, and I felt like a deer in headlights. Have you ever had a moment like that?
Yes, definitely. I remember the first time I tried to speak English with a tourist in Tokyo. I was so nervous I ended up mixing English with Japanese, and the poor guy looked so confused.
That sounds like my first conversation in English. I summoned all my courage to speak to those ladies on the train. I was so nervous, but they were really patient and kind. That little chat made me realize I needed to improve my English. Why did you decide to learn English, Lee?
For me, it started with a love for American movies and music. I wanted to understand the lyrics and the dialogue without subtitles. Plus, English is such an important language globally. I knew it would open many doors for me.
Absolutely. After that train ride, I was determined to improve my English. I started with translating texts and watching English films. How did you start your learning journey, Lee?
I started with basic vocabulary and phrases using an app on my phone. Then I moved on to watching English TV shows with subtitles. I remember struggling with pronunciation a lot.
Oh, pronunciation can be tricky. In my language school in New York, our teacher, Miss Thompson, introduced us to the shadowing technique. It's where you mimic the sounds you hear. It felt like a tongue workout.
Yes, I tried that too. It's funny how your mouth feels like it's doing gymnastics at first. Did you find any other techniques helpful?
Definitely. Miss Thompson also encouraged us to think aloud in English. It felt silly at first, but it really helped me organize my thoughts and speak more naturally. Have you tried that?
Yes, I did. It's a great way to practice. Speaking of practice, did you ever have any funny or embarrassing moments while speaking English?
Oh, plenty. I once worked as a waitress in a cafe and a customer asked for a napkin. I thought they said penguin and was so confused.
That's hilarious. I had a similar moment. I was in a restaurant and wanted to order a hot dog, but I accidentally asked for a hot frog. The waiter's face was priceless.
These moments are what make the journey memorable. Now, Lee, what are some practical tips you can share with our listeners to improve their English skills?
I'd say, don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process. Also, immerse yourself in the language as much as possible. Listen to English music, watch movies, and try to speak with native speakers if you can.
Great advice. Immersion really helped me too. I moved to New York to immerse myself in the language and culture. It was overwhelming at first, but it made a huge difference.
That sounds amazing. How did you find living in New York?
It was an exciting and overwhelming experience. The city is so vibrant and full of life. I enrolled in a language school and met people from all over the world. It was the perfect environment to learn and practice English. My teacher, Miss Thompson, had this unique approach where she focused more on using the language in everyday situations rather than just textbook learning. How was your experience with English classes?
My classes were quite traditional, but I found that practicing outside of class was more effective for me. I joined a local English club where we would have conversations, and play language games. It was a fun way to learn.
That sounds like a great approach. Speaking of fun, have you ever tried learning English through songs or movies? I found that really helpful.
Yes, I love singing along to my favorite English songs. It helps with pronunciation and intonation. Movies are great for picking up new phrases and slang.
I agree. I remember watching Friends and trying to imitate the characters. It was so much fun, and it really helped me with my speaking skills. Do you have any favorite shows or movies in English?
I love The Office. The humor is a bit different from what I'm used to, but it's really funny, and I've learned a lot of casual, everyday English from it.
The Office is a classic. I had so many laughs watching it. Now, let's talk about vocabulary. Our teacher advised us to read every day for at least 30 minutes. Have you found reading helpful in your journey?
Yes, reading has been very helpful. I try to read articles and books in English every day. It's a great way to learn new words and understand how they're used in context.
Exactly. I started reading English books and even took up a part-time job to practice my English further. It was challenging but very rewarding. Do you have any favorite English books?
I really enjoyed reading Harry Potter. The language is simple enough for learners, and the story is so captivating.
I love Harry Potter too. It's such a magical series. Now, speaking of challenges, did you ever struggle with grammar?
Oh yes, grammar can be a nightmare. I remember mixing up tenses all the time.
Same here. I used to mix up past and present tenses a lot, but practice makes perfect, right?
Absolutely. And having friends to practice with helps a lot too. I made some great friends in my English club, and we help each other out.
Friends are definitely a great support system. I made some wonderful friends in New York, like my classmate Jack from Australia. We explored the city together and practiced English. It was such a fun way to learn. Do you have any friends who helped you with your English?
Yes, I met a friend from Canada who was also learning Japanese. We had a language exchange where we helped each other with our target languages. It was really effective and fun.
That's fantastic. Language exchanges are a great way to learn. Now, Lee, what are your future goals for using English? Any plans or dreams that learning English will help you achieve?
I would love to travel the world and maybe even work in an international company. English will definitely help me with that.
That sounds wonderful. Learning English opens so many doors. I'm pursuing further studies in American literature now, and it's all thanks to my English skills. Have you ever thought about studying abroad?
Yes, I've considered it. It would be a great opportunity to immerse myself in the language and culture even more. Maybe one day I'll study in an English-speaking country.
You should go for it. It's an amazing experience. Speaking of amazing experiences, can you tell us about your first experience trying to speak English with a native speaker? How did it go?
Oh, it was a bit of a disaster. I was at a park in Tokyo and tried to ask an American tourist for directions. I got so nervous I ended up saying half the sentence in Japanese and half in English. He looked so puzzled.
Oh, I can imagine. Those first attempts are always the hardest. How do you balance your time between learning English and your other responsibilities or hobbies?
It can be challenging, but I try to incorporate English into my daily routine. I listen to English podcasts while commuting and read English books before bed. It's all about finding those little pockets of time.
That's a great strategy. Have you ever had a funny or embarrassing moment while learning English that you'd like to share?
Definitely. I once tried to compliment my friend's cooking by saying, "Your food is delicious." But I ended up saying, "Your foot is delicious." We both had a good laugh.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love these little mix-ups. They make the journey so much fun. What kind of English resources do you find most helpful? Apps, websites, books, or something else?
I use a mix of apps, websites, and books. Apps like Duolingo are great for daily practice, and websites like BBC Learning English have useful resources. I also enjoy reading novels and watching English YouTube channels.
That's a solid approach. Do you think learning English has changed your perspective on the world or helped you connect with people from different cultures?
Absolutely. It's amazing how language can bridge gaps between cultures. I've met so many interesting people and learned about different cultures through English.
That's so true. How do you stay motivated when you face challenges in learning English?
I remind myself of my goals and the progress I've made. Keeping a journal of my achievements helps a lot. And of course, having supportive friends and teachers makes a big difference.
That's great advice. Have you ever attended an English-speaking event or club? If so, how was the experience?
Yes, I've attended a few language exchange events. It was a bit intimidating at first, but everyone was so friendly and supportive. It was a great way to practice speaking in a real-world setting.
That sounds wonderful. Can you share a specific technique or exercise that really helped you improve your speaking skills?
Shadowing was really effective for me. Mimicking native speakers helped me with pronunciation and intonation. Also, recording myself and listening to the playback helped me identify areas for improvement.
Shadowing is such a useful technique. How do you practice your English listening skills? Any favorite podcasts, radio shows, or audiobooks?
I love listening to English podcasts about topics I'm interested in. It makes the practice enjoyable. I also listen to audiobooks during my commute.
Podcasts are great. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting their English learning journey?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's a natural part of learning. Practice as much as you can and find fun ways to incorporate English into your daily life. And remember, everyone learns at their own pace, so be patient with yourself.
That's fantastic advice, Lee. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and insights with us today. It's been such a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Maria. It's been a lot of fun. I hope my story helps and inspires others on their English learning journey.
I'm sure it will. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Remember, learning English is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and most importantly, have fun with it. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Share your thoughts and let us know what topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. You can also follow us on social media for more tips and resources. Until next time, keep speaking, keep listening, and keep learning. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.